Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are blessed with the presence of Shaquille McCray, who is a magnet, drawing people together for events such as client appreciation parties and cooking classes. He's building relationships, but not just by himself. I don't do anything. Here's a word from himself. I don't do anything just because I want to attract leads to my business, says McCray, who also teaches mindset classes to young adults. He deeply cares about the youth, and his mission is to impact the people and the communities that he operates in. McCray's work ethic is evident in early life. At 14, he purchased his first home. At 19, he was the first in his family to graduate from college while pursuing his Bachelor of Science from the Towson University. McCray built connections by co-founding the Real Estate Club Network, which grew to include more than 100 weekly attendees. He later founded clubs at the University of Maryland, Loyola University of Maryland, Johns Hopkins University, and McDaniel College. McCray's relationship building skills are an asset in his role as Director of Sales for the Newman Group, where he's responsible for daily group accountability calls, weekly one-on-one accountability meetings, and quarterly and yearly reviews. He helps agents establish their personal wins for the day. McCray found this time last year to help 49 clients buy and sell homes, landing him a spot in the Keller Williams Top 500 Agents. Everyone, please give it up for Shaquille McCray.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on, brother. Thank you so much. Yo, how did you purchase your first home at 14? Can you please share that story with the people?
It was 19, so I purchased my first home at 19, not 14. Okay. And I grew up in a railroad family, so every 3 years we would move, places as my dad continued to get job promotions. And so in the beginning, it was a lot just in the state of New York. We were moving around in the state of New York, and then we made a move to Maryland. And then around my senior year of high school, I started to hear, okay, we might be making another move to Missouri. And at that time, I had already started to put in some college applications and things like that. So I ran up the street to the bank and met this lady named Janelle. And I was like, listen, I want to buy a house. And she was like, okay. I was like, and I need to buy it probably within the next 6 months. And so from there, that just kind of started the journey of opening up insurance for the room at my parents' house, opening up a Target credit card, a student Wells Fargo credit card. And so I quickly started to build credit in order to be able to do it. And even with all of that going on in the middle of the process, we sat down with the underwriter and they're like, this is going to be tight. I'm not going to be able to guarantee like I can get it through like with your credit history and stuff like that. And so it ended up working out, but it was a race to be able to stay in Maryland. I just didn't want to move again.
That's insane. No, dude, it sounds like you pulled off a miracle almost.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy.
How did you prove 2 years of income, if you don't mind sharing?
So I had W-2 income at that point.
Oh, wow.
That W-2 income. I was working at the railroad. I got that job directly out of high school. And so I had W-2 income. There was, I didn't have to prove my income at that point.
Nah, congrats, brother. Congrats. What made you want to dive into the industry and serve people, you think?
Accident. Really, like if we're being serious, I got into the industry like kind of by accident. I always had an interest in being in real estate. I think from the time I was 10 years old, I think because we moved so much, I was seeing like real estate agents and they were in their suits and their BMWs because every real estate agent is like rich, right? And so like that was just like my perspective. I always thought it was like a cool thing. And so my junior year in college, I ran into a guy named Britton Hess. We were in the same management 301 class, and he stood up during icebreakers and he said, I'm Britton Hess. Here's a fun fact about me. I have my real estate license. So after that class, I went up, talked to him a little bit about like his experience, asked him about the real estate club that was on campus. And he said like, he was there, but he wasn't really like 100% sure how they were operating. He was actually the only one with a license. They were asking him. And so that club ended up dismantling it, shut down by the end of the semester. Me and Britton like kind of joked about starting a club. And then over the summer, just like crossed paths when I wasn't supposed to be there. He was at the school because his mom just said he should go and talk to the entrepreneurship club. And we decided that in that moment that we were going to start the real estate club. I told him he had to be president because I had a full-time job. And he was like, okay, so he agreed to do that. And then from there, it spiraled. It became a really big club at Towson. Britton was really the mastermind of like pushing it out to other universities and stuff like that. I assisted, but it got me involved in the real estate industry just through osmosis of that.
Now, do you still keep in touch with them?
Oh yeah. I was at his house 2 weekends ago. For his baby's birthday party. He has 2 boys and a girl now.
Wow, you don't know how fast time goes until you get there.
Yeah.
I saw you on Real Trends as Think. Like, can you tell me a little bit about that? Is this a subsidiary of Keller Williams? Is that like your own thing?
Yeah. So Think is actually I knew where you got my information from by like the description that you wrote. You found me on the NAR 30 under 30 thing, right?
Yeah, and Real Trends.
Yeah, so that was a little while ago. So Think is now actually the Newman Group. My partner, John Newman, has transitioned to being the regional director for Keller Williams. And so I lead the team now, and we rebranded to Think as John Newman was moving on.
Nice. And then where do you want to take that Think for the next 5 to 10 years, you think? What's your goal with that?
So my mission in life is to empower seekers to become the best version of themselves through coaching and leadership. And I think that over the last, 2 years, it's really been a search for me to figure out what my role looks like and how am I living as the highest version of myself in pursuit of that mission. And so I'm doing a lot more with KW Next Gen and teaching the mindset classes, as you call them, for young adults. And that's really where I see my space, spending time with the young adults, continuing to coach my agents, continuing to coach the people that are in the brokerage. I'm actually the team leader of the brokerage now as well. And just following that path, seeing where it takes me and staying within, mission and the purpose for my life.
Nice. Ladies and gentlemen, Google Shaquille McCray. Look how young he looks. I'm not even kidding you. and he's paying it forward already. He's already paying it forward to the next generation. Like he's thinking 5-10 years ahead, which very few people do. So who or what inspires or influences you the most in your work, do you think?
Influences me the most in my work, the people that I work with every day. I think that inside of the Think team, there's so much inspiration from Vince Principe, who, look him up, he's on the rise. Evan Kundrat's been with me for a long time. He, has 8 or 9 investment properties at this point, an Airbnb. Jen Williams is the team leader of another brokerage inside of Keller Williams. And so when we get to like sit down like as a team and like put our minds together, I get so much inspiration from that space. And then there's tons of others, but I would say that that's the top driver for me right now.
No, it's a true word's not spoken enough. But either you love what you do, you love the people that you work with, and it sounds like you really have a good nucleus of people.
I'm lucky, yeah.
Lucky. Nah, good for you, man. Good for you. And what legacy do you hope to leave behind through your work?
Yeah, I hope to leave impact in communities, and the way that I see that is providing resources and providing information for people that are looking for it, people that might not have access to that information, to build a life that they want to build, to create the wealth in order to fund that mission. So I just want to leave communities that support people in doing what they want to do in their life.
Nah, good for you, man. You really are like a giver's gain mentality, I would say.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. What's the story behind your most memorable success or failure, you think, that sticks with you?
Most memorable success or failure? I think in a way, the most memorable failure, right, might have been receiving like the 30 under 30, because up until that point, I think that I was just like working so hard and driving towards something that like I didn't know what it was. And I think looking back on it, maybe it was like an ego thing or a pride thing where it was like, I want to put up like these big numbers. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, right? But like the place that I was driving from, I think that like when I got it, I knew how hard I had been working. And like that was like a platform where it's like, oh, like everybody's like, okay, no, like Shaq is like, and it was like weird to me because nothing really changed in that moment other than the fact that like it had been published and brought to the forefront. And so I didn't get anything additional out of that, right? Like I looked at that and it was just kind of like a sober moment of okay, what am I like really pushing to do here, right? And I think that that's allowed me to start asking questions that brought me to a place to be more mission and purpose focused.
It's still a super impressive accolade. There's people that's probably been in the business like 2 to 3 decades, and you probably have more production than them. So you're doing something right. Um, if you could have dinner with somebody, if you could have dinner with a historical figure, who would it be and why?
It's a good question. If I could have dinner with somebody, do they have to be dead?
Anybody, dead or alive?
Okay, cool. It would be Gary Keller.
Gary Keller. Why is that?
Gary has helped to shape my mindset through like his books, his courses. I just been a follower of Gary Keller for so long that I think that it would be a really cool thing to just be able to ask him questions that like I kind of have in my head, or just like thoughts that um, there's a lot of things that I would love to just sit down and have a conversation with Gary about.
Yeah, no, I like it. You really want to pick a brain of a mastermind almost.
Yeah.
How do you handle criticism or negative feedback about your work if that's ever occurred?
From a place of wanting to understand what their perspective is, like wanting to understand, okay, like if there's like criticism or like if there's something that's not going right, maybe I see that differently. And so first, like seeking to understand and you know, have appreciation for like what they're feeling. And I think that once you can understand a situation from somebody else's perspective, it allows you to respond in a way that's going to be helpful.
No, you're totally right. You're totally right. Switching gears, what's happening in August with the buyer agreements, them being a non-negotiable now, being signed before showing a property? Are you training your employees now, or are you going to be waiting, or how are you pivoting with that?
So I don't know what state you're in, but we're in the state of Maryland. In Maryland, we've had buyer agency like for a long time. I think we're one of like 13 states that had already had buyer agency. And so the stuff that we're focusing on as a team is more like just like packaging it up and like showing like what our value is. But we really look at it as an opportunity. There's not much change, and we were getting buyer agreements signed up front already.
Oh wow, yeah. So yeah, this is nothing new to you. You're gonna shine and prevail over this.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Is there anything we should expect bigger in the real estate industry, and how are you contributing to it, you think?
I think that with everything that's going on right now, there's going to be more transparency in the industry, and I think that that's always a good thing, right? With more transparency and better conversations on the front of the transaction, I think that it's going to lead to more trust. And I think that, you know, once you have more trust between the agent and the client, it allows us to continue building relationships and continue receiving referrals, and pretty much the way that we built our business up into this point.
Nah, I'm sure you give like an exceptional user experience, and that's how you've gotten your referrals and have scaled up. What's the most courageous decision you made recently, and how did it impact you?
The most courageous decision that I made recently. I think letting go of being just like very conscious about everything. I think that like a lot of times like we try to consciously push our way towards things, and I think that like when you come in and you're just you know, the truest version of yourself, and you're vulnerable and like you're open, I think that that's a courageous thing to do. And I think that being in that space allows you to experience life in a different way.
No, yeah. You're enjoying the present moment for what it is.
That's right.
Yeah, some people dwell on the past and others just focus on the future. But you're trying to like really just hone in and be grateful for what you have in the present, which I like. What's the biggest misconception people have about the real estate industry in 2024? You think?
I don't know. I think that are you saying like from a consumer standpoint?
From a consumer standpoint, yeah. Like for example, how would you explain to a consumer that like the home that they like right now, although they want to wait for rates to drop, like their wage growth is maybe 2 to 3% a year, we could say.
Sure.
But that home value appreciates 5 to 6. So it's actually better to buy now than to wait for rates to drop. Because if rates drop, that the home value is going to increase, and not only that, more buyers are going to come into the pool, which will push it up even higher. So how do you explain that to a buyer? Like, hey, maybe right now is the best time to buy.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best perspectives that like I try to give to a buyer is like we can talk about like rates and like what's going to happen and supply and demand and all that stuff all day long, but like if you're not in the game, then like it doesn't matter, right? Like you got to get in the game to like have, not necessarily to like have an opinion, right? Everybody has an opinion, but I think that to have a better perspective about like what to do and where to go next, like you just got to get in the game. And so like I encourage like all my friends, right? Because I work with like a lot of my friends to like just get in the game first. I'm not telling you got to go buy the $700,000 house or like whatever your dream house is like right now, but at least get into something, where the payment is comfortable and you can start to build that equity, start to build that wealth, maybe purchase a property that you live in for a year or two, and then that ends up becoming your first investment property. And so like I try to like bring it from like a sobering standpoint of like we can like pontificate on what's going to happen on the market all day long, but if you're not in the game, it doesn't really matter.
You're very pragmatic, I would say. Super pragmatic and not theoretical, which I like. And then is there anything that's misunderstood about the industry or your work per se?
Can you ask that one more time?
Is there anything else that's misunderstood about the industry or your work per se?
I don't think so. I mean, like I see a bunch of stuff like on social media and stuff like that, but I think that like when you really just get in and like talk with, your people that like know you, like you, and trust you, and you just expand through like that sphere, you're able to have conversations as an advisor. Like I'm like here to help you. Like if this is not what you want to do, I'm not trying to convince you to do that. I want to help you grow your wealth through real estate as another vehicle, right? Like maybe you're investing in the stock market, maybe you're doing like all of these things. Just look at real estate as like one of those things. Let's run through the numbers. If it makes sense for you, great. If it doesn't, like I'm not going to encourage you to do something that doesn't work well for you.
No, you're totally right. And there's nothing wrong with being diversified when it comes to investing. And if you weren't in real estate, like what other path or what other journey would you have picked, do you think?
Oh, wow. I mean, like going backwards, it would be like hard to see it like now. I think that if you ask me that question on like, okay, like what would I have done like before? I think I probably would have done. I probably would have never left the railroad. I mean, I like that was a good opportunity. I was making over 100,000, like as like a 19-year-old kid, and there was opportunity to like move up like on the management side and stuff like that. So I think that if I never ran into John, I never ran into Britain, I didn't get into real estate. I would have got my degree as I planned to. I did get my degree, and then I would have gone back to the railroad and just climbed that corporate ladder. I think now that I am on the other side of that, if I wasn't in real estate now, what would I do next? It would be something nonprofit related. Empowerment to me is a core value, and it's something that like I care deeply about. It's what I see my impact as. It's what I see my legacy as. And so like doing some work with a nonprofit, again, in communities that need those resources.
No, you're really trying to make the world a better place. Like, yeah, you have a very positive. You look at the cup half full always, which is I give you a thumbs up for.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. What's your favorite book, podcast, or article that's had a significant impact on your life or your work? Would you say?
Multipliers. Multipliers is one of my favorite books. Liz Wiseman and Stephen Covey. I'm reading Power versus Force right now by Dr. Hawkins. That's a good one. Living Untethered. That's a good one. I'm trying to think what else. Atomic Habits. Everybody knows Atomic Habits. Yeah, I mean, I love all of those books. As far as podcasts go, I listen to a lot of Audible, but when I do listen to podcasts, it's like the MREA podcast. I'm a Keller Williams kid. You know what I mean? So I'm Keller Williams through and through. I wanted to give you an example that wasn't KW, but I'm a Keller Williams kid. I'm listening to Think Like a CEO. I'm listening to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent podcast. But other than that, I'm on Audible, listening to books. Oh my
No,
God.
this real estate thing is really a lifestyle for you. You're like a purebred on of it.
I'm in a good space. So
Yeah, good for you. You're clicking on all cylinders. What's your take on the future of real estate, and maybe in the perhaps the next 5-10 years? Would you say,
for me or
just in general, and with the real estate industry, like, how do you think it's? Do you think we're going to be buying with blockchain in the next 5 to 10 years, or do you think we're still be writing the contracts the same way we are right now?
I don't know. As far as like the tech side of things, I'm not really sure. I think that over the next 5 or 10 years, I think that like real estate brokerage may change a little bit. I think that just like the way that like things are structured, I think that we see more like bigger teams. I think that we see like the size of teams grow, and the types of like services that like teams are offering to consumers. I think that looks different. I think that we see like more like one-stop shop like kind of things that offer the consumer the opportunity to save money.
Nice. It's only going to benefit the consumer then in the long run.
100%. Yeah, it always has to, right?
yeah. You're totally right. Yeah, that's how you get economies of scale. Now, thanks for sharing that. So if someone comes to you and be like, "Hey, Shaq, I want to get into the industry," like, what advice would you give to them to be like successful, to end the year successfully, to like really ramp up in 2025?
Yeah. So first thing, if anybody's looking to get into the industry, I don't know, like if you're going to add my contact information on here or anything, but we have something cool called K-Score, where you can potentially like get a scholarship to go through your real estate licensing school, on a scholarship. And so like if anybody's looking to like do that and like forego the cost of their marketing, or not marketing, forego the cost of their real estate class, please reach out to me and let me know. And then like what should you do as a first year agent? Focus on your database. Again, like open up your cell phone. You probably got, at least 100 or 200 contacts in there, people that already know you, like you, and trust you. Build relationships with those people. Ask them questions about, what their dreams are, where they want to go. Do they see themselves investing? Really like understand those people in your database. And I think that you give, and it'll come back to you.
Now you're super self-aware. You already know how to reverse engineer it.
Yeah.
What do you think is the key to maintaining a work-life balance, and how do you apply it to your life?
So work-life balance to me was like something that like I viewed outside of myself, I think, like for a long time, because I just was like such like, a high motor like person. And it never felt like really like attainable. And over like the last couple years, I think the shift has been like, no, that stuff like matters. Like if you're gonna be a high producer, if you're gonna be able to be in a space where you're able to like handle the demands of what that looks like, I think that you have to take care of yourself. And so I'm somebody that meditates on a daily basis. I'm somebody that, makes sure I get to the gym every day. Like I don't take Saturdays off and stuff like that. Like I go to the gym, like I take care of myself, because when I leave there in the mornings, like I feel better set up to like take care of my day. And then right now I have a 2-year-old. And so like I got a hard block in my day at like 6 o'clock, I'm home. Like it's a non-negotiable. And I let my clients kind of like know that up front. Hey, during the day, I'm working all day long. Like we're going to make it happen. From 6 to 9, I'm with my family, right? Until my baby goes to sleep. And then at 9 o'clock, late night texts and stuff. If I'm on, I'll hop on and do what I need to do, and just be up for, a couple more hours getting things done. And then I'm in bed and I'm getting back up tomorrow to take care of myself.
Holy smokes. You're really working at a very optimal level. You got it down to a science at this point at a super young age. Like I applaud you. I tip my hat off to you. But what's the most challenging aspect of being in your role in today's world in 2024, would you say?
I don't want this to like come off and like sound the wrong way, but I feel so aligned right now that like it doesn't feel it doesn't feel bad. You know what I mean? Like there's no part of like my day where like I wake up and I'm like not happy to like do it. Like of course there's like challenging things that like surface like during the day, but like I don't have to drag myself to like do anything. I feel aligned in all the things that I'm doing, all the roles that I'm in, my work life balance, my family. Like I feel really good. And that's something that I worked on for years, through Quantum Leap, KW Next Gen. I actually have the shirt on right now, powering the next generation. But I've been a part of this community since I was 22 years old, and they talk about the mindsets and the perspectives and the habits that you need to build. And so it's been 10 years of building towards that. And I feel that I'm in a space and in a role where I'm happy. I'm happy with things that are going on.
Nah, man, you're knocking everything out like clockwork. Although it's long nights, short years for you, like you're basically tapped into the work. Can you also share like another big lesson that you learned in your career so far? The biggest lesson you learned in your career so far?
Mentors, 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 mentors. Yeah. Reach up. Reach up. Like if there's somebody that you want to connect with, maybe you got to be strategic about the way that you connect with them. I like always try to connect with people like through value. Like, what is it that I can do for you? I always ask that question, even at the end of like meeting with somebody. Like, what can I do for you? But I don't think you have to, but I think it's critically important for your success and like getting to that success sooner, for you to be able to connect with people that have done it before, so that you can model them, so that you can ask questions about where you're stuck. I just think it's critically important to have mentors, and so I don't like. I'd be careful on like what your representation of what that word means, right? Like if you're reaching up to somebody, they may not have time to sit down with you like on a weekly basis or always take your calls. And at the same time, you can find mentors in books, you can find mentors, in your local community, and you can reach out to people and just take that information to heart. And as somebody that like works with people that like I mentor and things, I think that the best thing that you can do to continue that relationship is to show those people that you're doing the work with the information that they're giving you. Nobody wants to, sit down and, after like an hour or so, like you come back and you're asking the same questions, or like you didn't put in the work. And so really, one, like if you're reaching out to connect with a mentor, bring value with you. And then two, to maintain that relationship, ask them what you can do for them, and also do the work, be actionable around the stuff that they're giving you.
Nah, I praise you for saying that, because literally in life, either you learn through trial and error or you learn through someone else's trial and error. So you're really trying to cut your learning curve as much as possible so you can just catch up to them, which I acknowledge you for that. What do you think was a turning point in your career journey, would you say, where it just like opened up and you saw things like 2020 or 1520?
I would say again that like NAR experience, it was sobering. Around year 3 or 4 was when like my listings and my buyers started to even out a little bit. So I would say that was a good moment, because I seen the leverage that comes from the listing side of the business, and then I also seen like what has to happen on the buyer side of the business to be able to continue to provide that level of service, but through others. And so I would say that was a big one for me as well.
Nice. No, you're a true king with the listings, and you're really leveraging the listings. I love it. And then, do you wish you could have received one piece of advice earlier in your career that could have changed your whole trajectory, or could have been a better catalyst for you?
Yeah, I actually shared this on a panel I was on for Anne Arundel County a couple months ago, and like it's not that serious, right? Like anything that like you're going through right now, you're just it's happening in the moment, and a lot of the feelings and everything that comes from that is you like projecting out what's gonna happen next or what's gonna be impacted because of that. And so, like, if you're going through something, go ahead and sit with it, for 5 minutes, and then come up with a plan on what you need to do to maneuver and move forward from there.
Nice. No, you're definitely doing your due diligence and like just executing on ideas. And then I got two more questions for you. I'm gonna rewatch this when I'm super old, like 80 or 90 years old. What's one piece of advice you want to leave with me? So like maybe I want to call you, hey Shaq, thanks for giving me your time that one time.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Find your purpose. Find your purpose. Follow the path.
All right, we'll do, man. We'll do. And do you want to share anything with the people? Any last pieces of advice, thoughts, comments, by chance?
Yeah, gratitude for everybody that took the time to watch this interview. If there is something that I can ever do to help you, just feel free to reach out and let me know.
Yeah, please share your contact info right now if you can.
Yeah.
No, through voice, please.
Oh, okay. Is there a chat bot? Yeah, my contact info. So my direct cell phone number hasn't changed since high school. It's 443-895-1941. The easiest email address I can give you is smccray, so first initial, last name, @kw.com. And I'm on Facebook, Shaquille McCray. I'm on Instagram, Shaq McCray, I think it is, or it's Shaquille McCray on Instagram too. So LinkedIn, I'm easy to connect with.
Ladies and gentlemen, you literally just heard from one of the youngest kings I ever had on this show. Like, Google this guy like in 30 years, and you're gonna see he still has 2 to 3 decades left in the industry. He's about to see so many cycles, and he's just gonna dominate. Like, it's gonna be very interesting just to witness this from him. Yo, Shaq, thank you so much for sharing your time with me, man. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, brother. I appreciate you.
All right, thank you.